Hey, hi students, how are you all? Today we are back to see second part of the history lesson, that is from trade to territory. Okay, in first lecture we talked about the ideas and the activities of the Britishers. Earlier, how they came to India, what was their purpose to come to India, and afterwards how it changed and how they started expanding their territory and their rule in India, and how they were trying to establish paramountcy in our India, that we have seen. So when Britishers came to India, the first decisive battle took place between at the Palashi. That's why it is called Battle of Plassey. It was between Robert Clive and Siraj Uddaula. Okay, and Mir Zafar, who was his commander in chief. Okay, so he just joined hands with Robert Clive and he didn't fight that battle. So in this way, Siraj Uddaula was captivated. He was held as a captive, and afterwards Mir Jafar became Nawab. At this time, Britishers don't want to become Nawab. There are two reasons behind this. See, Britishers, the most important purpose of Britishers to come to India was benefit. Okay, and if they rule the country, if they take the charge of this country, then they have to see the political activities also. Britishers didn't want to do this. They just want to get the permission for business and they should get the hold of that state without actually ruling it. So what they were doing, they were just keeping Nawabs there. Means uh, Nawabs will be from Mughal family only, but Britishers will keep watch on them. Okay, and these Nawabs will be puppets. Whatever permissions, whatever approvals Britishers want from them, they have to give that. So such kind of puppets Britishers were keeping in many regions. Okay, so in this way, India indirectly was being ruled by Britishers. Okay, so company officials become Nawab, but afterwards Britishers thought, and second reason for this, if we keep Britisher as a Nawab, then people will revolt. They will not accept us as a Nawab. So, what to do? That's why Britishers afterwards they realize that if we want to keep this stable, then we ourselves have to become Nawab. And Britishers started becoming Nawab. So, at this place, Robert Clive in 1764, he was appointed as a Governor General of Bengal, and in 1772 he was cross-examined by the British Parliament. He was sent here to see the corruption in company. Okay, so this is what about Robert Clive and trading company. Now the turning point comes here. What is the turning point? Till this point, Britishers are completely focused on trade. They want to do the business. They are not interested in political agendas and activities. They were just interested in business and their trade. But from this point, now Britishers are inclined towards politics also. How's that? Let's see. Yes. So first of all, when Britishers were trying to expand their rule, they had to fight with two important powers in southern India, that was with Marathas, and second with Mysore, that is Tipu Sultan. Okay, so with Tipu Sultan, four battles took place. Four battles. In these four battles, earlier 2-3 battles were won by Tipu Sultan, but last battle was decisive, in which Tipu Sultan, in his capital Srirangpatnam, he was killed, and there was one tiger of Tipu Sultan. In next slide, I will show the picture of him. So that tiger was taken away by the Britishers. Tipu Sultan was called the Tiger of Mysore. Very brave leader, very brave king. Okay, so Tipu Sultan, 1750 to 1799. Okay, he was kept. He was not killed actually in that battle. He was held as a captive in his capital Srirangpatnam. Okay, so let's talk about Tipu Sultan, the Tiger of Mysore. Tipu Sultan, also known as the Tiger of Mysore, he was the ruler of Kingdom of Mysore from 1782 to 1799, and a scholar, soldier, and poet. And Tipu Sultan had alliance with French people. As you know, Mysore, it comes in northern India to the coastline. So their French colonies were there. So these French people, they they had alliance with Tipu Sultan. So Britishers didn't like this. As I told you in last lecture, there was rivalry in these European powers. So they didn't want anybody to compete with them. If you don't want competition, what you have to do? You just have to exclude your competitor. So Britishers didn't like that French, they are helping him. So that was also one of the reason of unrest. So he was a soldier, poet, and scholar also. He was eldest son of Sultan Hyder Ali of Mysore and his wife Fatima Fakrunnisa, a daughter of Mir Muinuddin. Okay, he was governor of Kadapa. Tipu promoted a more widespread use of Hindustani language in southern India. Tipu introduced a number of administrative innovations, including the introduction of a new coinage, new Mauludi lunisolar calendar, and new land revenue system, and initiated the growth of Mysore silk industry. Tipu Sultan also expanded the iron cased Mysorean rockets. See, this is very interesting to know. When Tipu Sultan died at that time in 19th century, okay, means till 1799 he was alive, okay, and after 1757 all these activities are going on now. So what happens here in 19th century, when Tipu Sultan dies, Britishers, they came to know that he has invented the missiles. Can you imagine, in 19th century he had invented the missile and use of the missiles. Tipu expanded the iron-cased Mysorean rockets, which he developed in his resistance against military advances of the British. So at that time, we had developed this technology in India. Can you imagine this? Okay, so this was all about Tipu Sultan. Four battles took place between Tipu Sultan and Britishers. Okay, and finally, in fourth battle, Tipu Sultan was defeated by Britishers, and he was kept as a captive. Okay, so this was the tragedy with Tipu Sultan. He was a very brave soldier, very brave king. Okay, now let's see. Here you can see the tiger that I was talking about. This was a machine. Okay, and means from this machine you will come to know how technologically how much developed we are. So let's talk about this tiger first. It's a machine, it's not real tiger. Okay, and it operates when we give order to him technically, then he can kill anybody to whom we send him. Okay, so let's talk about it. Tipu engaged in expansionist attacks against the neighbors. His treatment of his conquered non-Muslim subjects and British prisoners of war is controversial. He remained an implacable enemy of the British East India Company, bringing them into renewed conflict with an attack on British allied Travancore in 1789. In Third Anglo-Mysore War, Tipu was forced into humiliating treaty. He just lost that war, third war. And in that war, he had to undergo humiliating treaty in which he lost a number of previously conquered territories, including Malabar and Mangalore. He sent embassies to foreign states, including the Ottoman Empire, Afghanistan, and France, in an attempt to rally opposition to the British. As he was having good contacts, okay, so he sent his embassies to different countries, Afghanistan, France, Ottoman Empire, so that they would help him against Britishers. So here you can see France is also there. So as French colonies were there in India, okay, in an attempt to rally opposition to the British. In the Fourth Anglo-Mysore War, the combined forces of the British India Company and the Nizam of Hyderabad defeated Tipu, and he was killed on 4th May 1799, okay, while defending his fort of Srirangpatna. Okay, so in fourth battle he was killed finally at Srirangpatna. So here you can see the foot, as I talked to you about the tiger. Okay, so in technologically he was very famous. Okay, next. Now, second decisive war that they have to fight was with Marathas. With Marathas, they fight three battles, in which third battle was decisive, where Indians, Marathas, they lost in this war, and on the pension, our Nana Sahib Peshwe, he was sent to Bithur. There he had to leave on the pension, but his all royal rights, they were just taken away. Henceforward, Britishers will take the charge of territory and they will rule this territory. That was the what we can say, that was the system of Britishers. Okay, so let's talk about first Anglo-Maratha war. It took place between 1775 to 1782. How many years? Almost 7 years. It was the first of three Anglo-Maratha wars fought between the British East India Company and Maratha Empire. The war began with the Treaty of Surat and ended with the Treaty of Salbai. Actually, it is not Saibai, it is Salbai, Salbai. So the Battle of Delhi took place on 11th September 1803 during the Second Anglo-Maratha War between British troops under General Lake and Marathas of Scindia's army under General Rui Burquin. The battle was fought at Patparganj, right across Yamuna River from Humayun's tomb, also giving the battle its local name. Okay, and so in this way we have talked about these two battles. Okay, third was on 1803. Okay, now fourth battle, which was very decisive, 1817 to 1818. Okay, so here you might have Battle of Delhi. You will ask, sir, Marathas, they were in Maharashtra, how the battle is taking in Delhi? As you know, in the reign of Bajirao, means after Shivaji Maharaj went away, then Bajirao takes the charge, means after many years, not definitely in between, many leaders were there, but as he is a prominent leader, so directly I am talking about Bajirao. So first Bajirao, he was, when he was in charge, within 20 years from 1920 to 1940, 1720 to 1740, he expanded the territory of Marathas till the fort of Atok. Okay, so the borders of Marathas, directly it came to northern side. So in Delhi also, Mughals, Marathas, they were having power. Directly they were not king, not Nawab, but they were holding power there through the Nawab. Okay, so that's why this battle took place in Delhi. Now, third Anglo-Maratha war, which was final war, it took place between 1817 to 1818, and it was the final and decisive conflict between the British East India Company and the Maratha Empire in India. The war left the company in control of most of India. It began with an invasion of the Maratha territory by 1000 sorry 1,10,400 British East India Company troops. Okay, and in this way, when the battle took place between Marathas and Britishers, then when finally Marathas lost the war, as I told you, Nana Sahib Peshwa, who was in charge or Peshwa at that time, he was sent to Bithur on the pension. Okay, so from these two wars to these two conditions, you might have understood one thing, that gradually Britishers are opening their arms and they are just occupying the whole India. So after this war, finally, the real nature of Britishers, it came out. Expansionist, okay, then communism, not communalism, and then colonialism, and then imperialism. All this is basic and natural instincts of Britishers. They were just coming out, and their real nature Indians started understanding. Okay, so henceforward Britishers will rule India. So you might have understood one thing from this, that in 18 in 18th century, till 18th century, Britishers were just, actually they were trading in India, but their real rule started in 19th century. Okay, so let's talk about it now. So for doing all these things, after that, what changes they brought to grab every territory and every reign, what policies and programs they utilized, that we will talk about. First of all, the claim to paramountcy. Under Lord Hastings, Governor General from 1813 to 1823, a new policy of paramountcy was initiated. What is this policy? Now the company claimed that its authority was paramount or supreme. Hence, its power was greater than other states. In order to protect its interests, it was justified in annexing or threatening to annex any Indian kingdom. This process, however, did not go unchallenged. For example, when British tried to annex small state of Kittur, Rani Channamma took to arm and led an revolt. Okay, so claim to paramountcy means Queen Elizabeth or whichever queen is there, we have to be loyal to her. Means she will be at the supreme position, apex point, pinnacle, and we all will be down to her. Okay, so everyone we have to bow in front of her because she is paramount. This policy was brought to India. Definitely, some accepted it, some were not ready to accept this. So, if you talk about Kittur, there Rani Channamma, she took an arm and led an revolt. Okay, so in this way, this was the first policy. In the late 1830s, the company became worried about Russia. It imagined that Russia might expand across Asia and enter in India from northwest. They fought a prolonged wars with Afghanistan between 1838 and taken 1842 prolonged wars. Okay, so in this way, you will understand from this. At this point, Britishers were already engaged with Russians. Okay, they were fighting with Russians, and that's why they are not having that much attention towards the India as earlier they had. Okay, because Russia was trying to expand its territory from Afghanistan to India. Okay, so Britishers had to go there. So it is called Afghanistan War. Britishers sent their troops to Afghanistan to fight with uh, Russians. Okay. Now, yes, this was second policy of Britishers. What was this policy? This policy is one of the way of Britishers, their cunning way to grab the reign or the rule of any empire. Okay. So what does it say? Let's see. The doctrine of lapse. According to this policy, if any state or any king who is impotent, he doesn't give birth to male to a boy who is heir to the throne, if he doesn't give birth to that, then that reign it will be annexed, means joined with British Empire. You can't adopt anybody. Okay, so that was the system, doctrine of lapse, according to which this was annexation policy, and it was devised by Lord Dalhousie, who was Governor General of East India Company between 1848 till 1856. According to which any princely states or territory under the direct influence of British East India Company as a vassal state under the British subsidiary system would automatically be annexed if the ruler was either manifestly incompetent or died without a direct heir. So it will be joined with British Empire. See how cunning way this is, because at that time there was a system. If any king he does not give birth to the heir, means the son, then they can adopt, or from their family line they can make someone king. That was the one system. But Britishers said if the son is not natural to that king, then he will not made a king. Okay, so and that means from that point Britishers will rule that territory. Okay, so that was the system of annexation which was devised by Dalhousie. Okay, so here you will understand this was very cunning way of the Britishers to join the territory one by one to their empire so that they can take the political actions by any ways they want in India. Okay, so the latter supplanted the long established right of an Indian sovereign without an heir to choose a successor. In addition, the British decided whether potential rulers were competent enough. The doctrine and its application were widely regarded by Indians as illegitimate. Indians didn't like it. Okay, and it was completely, of course, it was illegitimate, not what we can say, mm, not legal. At the time of its adoption, the company had absolute imperial administrative jurisdiction over many regions spread over the subcontinent. So you can see some states here: Satara, Jaipur,